Hi, David Odell here with Odell Complete Concrete. This particular project is on my property in Fort Mohave, Arizona. Today we're going to be focusing on the tools you need to do it as easy as possible, the least amount of manpower. And what we're going to be featuring is the Milwaukee battery-powered power trowel and the Marshalltown rock and roller. This is the area that we're looking at right now. Right outside the garage door, that entire area right there in front of the house. And it's approximately 2,000 square feet. If you'll notice the size of the trees on the left and the size of the bushes, it'll give you an indication how long this base was in there before I actually place and pour the concrete, because the trees are a lot bigger, as you can see when I start doing the setup. So this was just stage one, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, but you'll see how much bigger the trees got in just that short a period of time. Also the bushes there, they got a lot bigger as well. That's the nice thing about when you're working on your own stuff. You're not in any rush. You just do a little bit when you can, and then it gets done. You'll also notice on the side of the garage, the pad on the side of the garage, that's been covered with some resin rock from Vuba out of England, came out here. I brought them over from World of Concrete. They brought their entire team out here, and we did a little collaboration on the resin rock application and the benefits of it and stuff. But that's a whole nother video that we'll do at some point in time. This one's just your basic fundamentals: concrete, flat work, get the ground right, put your base in, get it compacted, and then do it as easy as possible. So the way I'm grading this, and I was really kind of surprised with how lucky I got, because I never really put a string line on anything. I just eyeballed this entire area, and then I left it that way for a good 8 months or so before I started setting forms. And when I did pull strings, I didn't have to move any dirt. It was just, I just set it on the ground and set my screeds, measured up 4 inches from the base, set a screed, and poured it. I did verify, though, that the forms were good with a level as I kind of set it all up. And you'll see that process as we get to it. Right now, we have a natural stream running down along that tree right there. Right now, we're getting hit by the Pineapple Express as I do this voiceover. And we have a river running through that little gully there behind you, behind my truck. And then I have a lake down in the lowlands. It's kind of nice looking right now, if you could see it right now. It won't last long though. So I did a little compacting. As I was compacting, I just felt a couple humps and bumps here and there, and just graded a little bit more. All right, here we are on the next site. What we're going to be doing today is a simple driveway. This is the area that we're going to be covering. I've already formed up. I've already set some forms here. I've already set some forms along here, along this planter bed area. Came out here about to the corner of the existing patio, and then we just took a line pretty much right towards the gate, and that's this form. So it's not square off of this. We just kind of lined it up with the opening of the gate. Then I think with the rest of this area here, you can see it's a pretty good drop off right in this area. I'm probably gonna build it up with some of the native material, build it up within about 4 inches all along here, or a couple inches. And then decorative rock, decorative gravel through here, and decorative gravel on this end, because we're only gonna extend this driveway area out to right in line with this little concrete area on the side of the garage. We're going to come straight over to here, tie it into there, and then we're going to do probably just some decorative gravel throughout this entire area all the way to the gate, and that'll wrap it up pretty much. So that'll give a nice parking area. Right now, in order to get this ready to pour concrete, I have a temporary ramp I built over here just to drive up. So I'm going to scrape this gravel down, scrape it down out of the garage door, spread that out. And then I'm going to set another string line right off of this existing. That's resin stone, if anybody was wondering. Resin stone over concrete, or resin rock, you might call it. But it goes, we're going to go straight off of this all the way across. So I'll put a string line here, kind of get some elevations, because what I'm going to do, since I'm not pumping this, I'm going to be backing the concrete truck in that gate, bringing it on in here. As we pull out, we'll set the form, but I want to get the stake set straight and elevation marked on each stake. That way I'll just pull out the stakes that are in the way of the truck backing in, and then I'll leave enough to be able to nail this thing back up really quick and pull the truck on out. We're going to be using 10 gauge wire mesh. 6 is what you're seeing at Home Depot and Lowe's, and they come in a roll. But we're going to be using here's flat sheets, 20 by 7, and it's 10 gauge 6-inch squares. That's a little bit easier to, they have the 6 gauge as well. Well, they have the, what is it? No, they have the 10 gauge flat sheets as well, but it's not as common. It's usually in a roll form at that point. But we're gonna go with something a little thicker. I think this is the 6 gauge, and it's flat sheets, 20 by 7. So I'm covering 140 square feet per sheet. So I figure I'm gonna need about 6 of them, 6 20 by 7s. This to cover this area here, and it's gonna go in real fast, sweet and simple. I'm gonna be using my new battery operated Milwaukee power trowel on this too, and then I'm going to run it in a comparison head to head. I got a gas powered 3-footer, and now I got the Milwaukee battery powered 3-footer. So I'm gonna run them, you know, back to back, and then I'm gonna switch off operators on each tool just to see what the operators think of the tools and what they prefer running, and the benefits and the pros and cons of each tool after we surmise the whole operation on this pad right here. Also, I might do like a stone stamp texture around the border. I have a rolling stone that I might just roll that around the perimeter and then just power trowel the field. And then if I want to later, I can stain those stones all the way around. It just depends, you know, how I feel and what I want to do, but I have those options available. So let me get it on with this tractor. That's my first step. I got to get in this tractor. So let's take a look at the tractor situation over here. Some nice resin rock here. Company out of England put this in for me and wanted me to test run this stuff. It's been on here probably about 8 months already, and it's holding up really good. I've been driving on it and the whole works. Stuff is great. It's a polyurethane coating mixed with rock that go down on that concrete. But so here's the tractor operation here. So I got to get that unit out of there and then get down to business. Here's the tool we'll be using on here. I'm gonna go with this unit right here. Got the big boy battery right there, and I've got a few more to replace it as needed. I think they run for about 30 minutes, and then you got to switch batteries and start the charging process. So that's what we'll be running here. The head-to-head power trowel. Here's my supercharger. Got an old supercharger right here that the batteries will go in, and it'll get them back to 100% probably in about 30 40 minutes, I'm guessing. But I know it's quick. So the tool we'll be using to match up against, or to compare to, I should say, because you can't really say it's apples to apples when you got a gas to an electric, because it's really not. There've been definitely different benefits for each tool. And this right over here is the tool that we will compare it to. Here it is. Here's that unit. Nice power trowel there. Now here's the stone border. I'm thinking I'm either going to do this stone border on the outside of that driveway, or I could just texture the border with this width and just roll it. I could roll the entire driveway too, for that matter. But I think I'm just gonna do the stone border. Stone border, what that'll do, I think, it serves a couple purposes. You're gonna feel it, like say you're on a roller, a skate, or some skates or skateboards or something on that driveway. when you hit those grooves on that stone pattern, you're gonna know it, and you won't go off the edge maybe, or you kind of feel it before you do. Anyway, that's the plan. There's the two tools I'm gonna get a good comparison on this run. Right off the top of my head, the electric, I've already did the electric cutoff saw, the 14-inch from Milwaukee. That really cut a lot quicker than the steel two-stroker. So I'm thinking this Milwaukee power trowel is gonna eat up the other one too, the gas powered, but we're gonna take it to the true test. So got concrete in 2 days. I'm running a solar operation out here, you know, getting it ready, getting the wiring, getting the form set, you know, the whole works. The pour, I am gonna get a little help though. I'm gonna get my brother's gonna be here. Also, I'm gonna get Eric, the chef's gonna be here, and we're just gonna have some fun, really. That's about it. All right, to clarify what I was saying about the wire mesh, the 7x20s, I actually need 14. I thought 6 is just for half of it because I did 2 pours. I set a header down the middle and I did 2 11-yard pours. Also, it is a 10 gauge, and that's the most common gauge. That's what you're going to find at Home Depot. And I'm using a 10 gauge flat sheets, a little easier to manage than the rolls. And it was less expensive, believe it or not, which I was surprised. So after 8 months of my final, you notice it doesn't look compacted anymore after 8 months of driving over it, which is fine because when you're wheel rolling, I've been parking here with everything, so it's actually probably a lot harder than it was just with the plate compactor with all the vehicles going in and out of that area for that long. So it's pretty tight. Here I am just putting a little dirt behind this form because this is the low end and I do have a thickened edge there. I don't want the concrete to run out the bottom because I'm kind of tight on the square footage and yardage, so I gotta kind of keep everything contained. If you notice, I have flat stakes, not ideal for this ground. You definitely can't use wood stakes out here. You can just use those for firewood, but we got flat stakes that I brought from Cali, which aren't really ideal for here. I got to get me some round stakes. So fighting these stakes, trying to get them straight, you know, with the form and everything, was a nice challenge and a good workout. So the nice thing about round stakes on this ground, they'll find a path in between those rocks. Some of those that's a little notch I put on the form because I'm breaking the concrete and starting to slope it down with the natural terrain. That's why I put that cut in there. Looking at this job again and remeasuring it, we came out with about 1,700 square feet on this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break it right in the middle. So I'm gonna do 2 pours. I'm gonna get 2 11s, 11-yard today or tomorrow. I'm gonna do 11 and then I'll wait a couple days or whatever and then pour the other 11. So I got a set of form. Basically what we have is 50 feet here, and then we have 33 and a half this direction. So we're going to set a form at 25 feet right here. Here's my screed pins I've already set. The overhead sets right in that bracket. I got 10-foot bays, nice and small, easy to handle. Let's see what we got here. We got 2 2x4s right here. I'm going to start setting right now. So pretty much I'm pulling a string line down where I want to set the screeds, and then I'm double checking because I never checked this with a line, the grade on the middle at this point until I started setting screeds, and that's when I'm making some minor adjustment to the height of these screeds. Basically what's happening is I'm crowning everything a little bit. Otherwise I'd be I'm about an inch off of being a perfectly even plane. So I'm about an inch high in the middle, in other words, with that grade, which I was pretty close with just the eyeball. So I just brought it up an inch in the middle and just crowned the whole thing, and it worked out beautiful. Form's looking good. Hopefully 11 yards gets this section, and then the next 11 gets this section. My grade's got to be, you know, money. to make it happen. Yes, sir. Can't wait to use this little item. This thing is heavy duty, let me tell you. This little Milwaukee power trowel right here is heavy duty. Look at the steel on that. And this thing, it's got pick points. See that pick point? Like you're on a high rise or somewhere where you got to drop it down into a hole or take it up, whatever. You hook it right there to the crane and bring it on in. All right, what I'm doing now is a layout on my dowels. I'm using a 3/8 inch hole, and I'm going to use 3/8 inch rebar, so it'll be a nice tight fit. I'm going to have a cold joint where my two separate pores marry together in the middle, and on that one I'm going to actually do slip joints, slip dowels, instead of a tight fit. So I like dowels on pretty much any kind of where I'm joining two pieces of concrete together, because what I don't like to happen in the future is one sinking or one lifting, so you end up with a trip hazard. So I like to keep them so they move together. That's the purpose of those dowels. Here's the 20x7 wire going in. And this ground is so hard that we can just back the concrete truck right over this wire, and it's not going to affect it at all. Now, if this ground was softer or wasn't as hard as this, you could end up with the wire mesh getting tangled around the axle and make all kinds of mess, maybe break an air line to your brakes. So you got to make sure your ground's hard enough to back in over wire. Concrete has arrived, folks. Hey, how's it going? Hopefully his tires will fit between these two stakes. If they don't, then I'll have to take one of them out. Probably that one. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, he's gonna fit right in there. No problem. Grab it. Oh. This is what I like about these front trucks, front unloaders, is that the driver controls the chute, so you free up a whole nother guy. So that means you have one less guy on the ground, which is great. So because there's only 3 of us, 2 on the screed and 1 on the come along. This is 3/4 big. This is their big rock mix. This is 3,500 psi, and what I did was a blend. I did half pea gravel, half big rock. So they fit together, and all those little. When you look at this, or you were to break it apart and take a look at the inside of this, you know, after it dries, you'd see all the small and the rocks, how they interlock, very tightly bound together. That's why I like to mix the bigs and smalls together. It's also easier to lay down. If you noticed here, a come along, which I typically don't use because I'm usually pouring pea gravel, and come alongs don't work good on pea gravel because they get buried real quick, but they work great with big rock. Here's a 4-foot magnesium bowl float going on here. Doug's knocking it down. We poured this pretty stiff, so you can see how hard it is for the bowl float to kind of seal it up. That's the idea. Bring up the cream. And what'll happen as this sets for a little while, a little moisture should come up. We should get a little bleed water, and then we can bowl float it again, and it should bowl float a lot easier the second time around. This stuff is pretty sticky at this psi and this mix design that I have. I felt a little hump right there, so I'm just kind of trying to pull that concrete back. You can kind of see the quick slope out of the door in that first 10-foot bay. And that's kind of the way I designed it, because I definitely don't want water to go into the garage. So that's where my hardest slope is, away from that garage door. Everything else is pretty level. Matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a nice pickleball court out of this, a basketball court and a badminton court off of the same two poles either side. Also, the removable basketball post will also that'll be a removable one on the left side in the center of these two pads that we'll be doing, and on this side in the planter will be a tall pole for a flagpole, and then also it'll double as the badminton, the pickleball, you know, all the fun stuff. This does fit a regulation pickleball court too. And that even allows enough room to run off the edges, you know. So I have about 5 feet all the way around, just to give you a little space before you end up running off the edge, chasing a ball down.
Yep.
Right there you got the 1/2-inch walking edger going around. We don't have to do a whole lot of work on this. Our main focus is just trying to get it flat, because once we got it flat, we can just kind of kick back and wait until it's ready to put the power trowel on there. Because I do have the Milwaukee in the garage right there, and I also have my 3-foot gas in the shed, so it's no worries. In other words, if one breaks, we still have a backup. Also, we're gonna use the rock and roller from Marshalltown to put a nice border around the perimeter here. And then if you've seen one of my previous videos, it's in my playlist. If you see property development playlist, you'll see me doing the other concrete walkway out that side door of the garage, and I stain that. So I'm gonna use that same color stain for the rock and roller random stone. So it'll kind of tie it all in. Here's Big Blue. And it's not an easy tool to run the way I have that rocker arm on there, because it's a heavy tool to begin with. And then you've got to hold it at whatever elevation you want it at all the way back. So it's a lot of forearm holding it up because it wants to fall down because of the weight of it. So here's the chef. He's getting it on with Big Blue right now. Doug didn't like that tool at all because of that. His hands were too dry to grab the pull and maintain a certain degree, you know, but Eric's hands are still fresh, so he could get a good grip on it.
That's big time.
Funny trowel. It's really just a bonus thing that I'm doing here. I really don't need to do it because I'm going to power trowel it, but you know, it's nice to just to be able to do something, because other than stand around. On my first pass with this power trowel, I'm going to put a pan on it. That way I can get on it a little bit earlier. And to tell you the truth, I was surprised at how well that machine worked. I was kind of skeptical at first until I used it, and about how long the battery would last and that kind of thing. But I did 800 square feet with 4 passes, 1 battery. Got the concrete in real good shape right now, and we're gonna go ahead and start rolling a rock band. We're gonna use this right here, rock and roller from Marshalltown. We're gonna use that. We're going no weights to start with, but we're gonna just roll it right here and see if we can get a nice texture. We may be early, but it's okay if we are. Here's Doug on the roller. The spray that Eric was putting on there was just a liquid release. But so we got pretty good design now on the border.
That's pretty cool.
Although we're gonna do a little touch up on it. I have a little touch up roller to clean up the joints, put a little texture where that didn't set all the way down. You can see some areas where
it looks like a little spot right here.
Down and give me full texture on every stone. So I just touch it up with a hand mat here and there to get 100%. Now with the power trowel, you're not going to want to go over that stamp. Yes, so I'm going to have to stay on the inside of that. Otherwise, I would be erasing it basically. Then we'd have to re-stamp it. And it may be too hard to stamp at this point. Because we waited quite a while before we put the power trowel in the middle between stamping and power troweling. You can see it's kind of early now, so that's why I got off of it pretty quick there. But you know, when you're running a pan, there's a lot, you're taking a lot more power out of the machine because you're pushing a lot more. You have more friction, more area hitting the concrete, so you're going to draw out the battery up with the pan a little quicker than just the blades itself. That's my guess anyway. Not positive, but I think so, because I could feel it a little bit. It was harder to hold and make it go where I wanted to versus just blades. But right now I have it on a very low speed, as you could see there. And it felt really good as far as how it felt. It wasn't bouncing. It stayed really flat. It felt like it was actually leveling the concrete. I've been on some power trowels where they'll bounce a little on you when they hit a bump. This one seemed to cut right through them and make it flat. Here's my other 3-footer. Doug's going to run this on his first pass. And then we're going to do a switcheroonie on it. That way we can both kind of get a feel of what we like better, you know, in real time. So far, we had my brother Doug over here. He was running this side, and it looked pretty good. He even did it a lot quicker because he had that throttle up a little higher. So this machine's a little bit lighter weight. This one's a little more heavy, so I ran it a little slower. This one was just bouncing over it pretty much, flying home. Here's what we're looking at here. We both did about the same thing. Let's take a look from the back. From here you really can't see a difference. It's a little shinier on the right. That would be about the only thing I'm noticing. Still got 2 bars left. So it means I could probably complete this whole 850 square feet on one battery, which is pretty darn good, especially running the pan. Pan really sucks the juice out of it. Here's another look at it. You can kind of see the left side is the Milwaukee, the right side is the old school Honda. Much rougher on the right than the left. Interesting. But we're just gonna keep hitting this and just kind of keep comparing every pass to one another and see what the end result is here. You know what? I'm not gonna even broom this. I'm just gonna leave a power trowel finish on it. I could just keep hitting this thing over and over and make it as smooth as glass with a power trowel, but I'm gonna hold off on getting it that smooth, and I'll stop when there's just a light peach fuzz left on there, and that'll just give me enough traction, you know, to keep it a non-slip, because really that's all a broom is. It's a non-slip texture. So I'm just gonna do that with the power trowel. Okay, we just kicked up the supercharger, got down to 1 bar, but I had another battery, so I just went ahead and threw it in. It wasn't ready to shut down yet, but it, you know, why risk it when I get out in the middle? I'll just keep them fresh all the time. So I'd already hit it 3 times, and then I just decided to throw another battery in there. Everybody went home now, and I'm on a solo operation now, and it's just a matter of power troweling it enough times to where I like the finish. There it is. That's about how many times I hit it to get to where I like it. There's your finished product. Beautiful stone border that may get stained later to match my other concrete over there. There it is, boys and girls. Nothing but a machine. Now if I waited about 45, hit it one more time, I have a hard trowel finish, which is slippery outdoors. So we're gonna leave it just like this, kind of a machine sweater, and go with it. She's a magnificent piece of work here. Magnificent piece of work. Throw some penetrating water base on here, and that's all it takes. Well, here's another view from inside the garage looking out, and gives you a little, because of the lighting, changes the visual. All right, it's saw cut time. This is the day after the pour. And we are due for rain today. That's why I am cutting it. Otherwise, I might wait another day just to make sure I don't get spalling on the blade. But we might have a little rain, which would postpone me cutting again. So I'm going to get the cuts in and hope for the best. As far as gas versus battery on the 2 power trowels, we both concurred that the battery powered was a better tool than the gas powered power trowel. And I don't know if that was due to the weight of the Milwaukee or because it's a new design or whatever it was. It just felt better. You know, that would be my choice when I do when I have to power trowel something again. I'd probably get rid of the fuel powered, the gas powered entirely and just run the battery powered from now on. For one reason, I know it's going to work every time I bring it to a job and I don't have to worry about fuel issues. So that's kind of a nice benefit in itself. Also, I can use it indoors. I don't have to worry about carbon monoxide, and there is jobs that do require power troweling indoors, and if you're not running battery powered, you're not starting it. Anyway, it turned out real nice. You could see the power trowel marks the day of the pour. They look pretty pronounced, like you could really visually see them. But as it cures out, it really kind of goes away. All right, all the saw cuts are in and the finish turned out great. Take a look at that. Look at those saw cuts. Look at that power trowel sweat finish, clean and crisp. And then we've got, of course, the stone border that could be stained potentially, but I will be putting a water-based penetrating sealer on this too at some point. All right, that about wraps up the first pour. Stay tuned for the second half of this pour. Also, if you like these kind of videos, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification. That way you'll be notified on our next upload. Have a good day.